Hello and welcome to your weekly technical update, your guide to the charts that matter this week. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, given the short-term noise going on in markets at the moment, Gary Glover from Novus Capital looks at some longer-term trends on the charts. Here's his analysis of the S&P 500.
Yeah, I thought it's important, Andrew, to maybe have a look sort of further out. So look at some longer-term charts there, because obviously there's a lot of short-term noise going on in the market at the moment. So you can see here, this is the longer-term monthly chart. But what's sort of most obvious there is that each sort of pullback on the monthly has just sort of sat on top of the previous high, or actually left spacing. So we sort of saw there in 2020, we pulled back to that sort of 15 high. In 2022, we pulled back to the 2020 high. And then just recently, we've pulled back to that 2021 high as well. So it's just held the trend in a pretty strong position. So just normally when you sort of sit on, just like a normal trend will just sort of build on top of the previous sort of phase. So just a really healthy looking trend longer term. So nothing negative about this longer term trend here, quite positive. And normally when you sit on top of the previous high or leave spacing like it has done, normally means that you're going to move to a new high here eventually there. So longer term trend looks pretty robust.
Well, let's now look at an individual stock, and the share price of oil and gas giant Woodside has been in a downtrend for the past 18 months. However, Gary Glover has identified a basing pattern, as he explains.
We've got those sort of three higher lows sort of setting up here. Had a nice acceleration high there, and we've just pulled back again. So look, if you look at that volume there, the last probably 5 or 6 sessions, the volume's dropped right off, and we are sitting well above the previous sort of swing high. So just leaving it in a pretty strong position in the trend line. So I think if we break out of this little wedge here, we're going to see, potentially another move higher here. But I just think that energy area, so sort of something that I've been talking about the last month with clients there, just looks pretty, that's probably been one of the strongest segments that have come out of this April 7 low. Now, one thing we know is that the sectors that show the greatest strength coming out of lows, they normally tend to sort of go on and have bigger moves. So just that's an area that we should be looking at here. And, you can see the uranium names have already had a big move here the last couple of days after having that first leg higher. So I think some of these, got to look into some of those other segments in that energy complex.
Meanwhile, the gold price has recently come off its highs, but is again showing strength, and now we're seeing the small miners and developers play catch up. Jonathan Takadina from MPC Markets identifies a small gold explorer in Western Australia that recently floated. Here's what he's seeing on the chart.
We always talk about copper shortages around the world, and you can see it in the actual spot price itself. So this is a dual-listed Canadian company. It's the Green Bay project in, I forget the region in Canada, but either way, it's a $550 million $537 million market cap at these prices. And what happened was they did some drilling in a new part of the actual ore body, and they found some great hits there. So what's happened is it jumped from maybe about the high 80s into the low 90s just on that result, and it's kept grinding higher. And the thing is, they've got 6 drill rigs, I think 7 now, on site. So there'll be constant news flow. And what we should see is that, I think the bottom's in on Firefly. Because if you've seen, if you've followed Firefly over the years, it's gotten as high as, I think from memory, in the $3 range. And it's trading at 90 cents now. So plenty more upside from here. And, they've got a lot of drill rigs on site, a lot of news flow to come. So I think the bottom's in on Firefly.
And that's it for this week's edition of The Charts to Watch. Join us for more technical talk next week. Happy trading.